Hi again, everybody, and welcome to Inside Golf. I'm Harry Donahue. Ashley Grier is the assistant professional at the Overbrook Golf Club in Villanova. In 2020, Ashley was named the Woman Professional Golfer of the Year. That's quite a distinction. And already she's won an event here in 2021. And it looks like it's going to be another stellar year on the golf course for Overbrook's Ashley Grier. You know, when you look back at her career, winning and honors are synonymous with Ashley. And we're going to meet her next here on Inside Golf. The 24th season of Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf. 50 courses, over 300,000 yards. Check them out at montcogolf.com. By the First Tee, Greater Philadelphia, building game changers. The First Tee not only helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit firstteephiladelphia.org. By Gap, celebrating amateur golf since 1897. By Jersey Man and Philly Man magazine, a digital publication and private business network. Read the current issue, free at jerseymanmagazine.com. And by Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia PGA section, the experts in the game and business of golf, and celebrating their centennial year. Take time to thank your local men and women PGA professionals.
Golf is the great equalizer. For many, this journey is an escape from reality, a chance to be part of a team, a career opportunity. PGA Reach impacts lives through golf by lifting people up, giving them hope, and sending them down an alternate path that they never saw coming. With PGA Reach Philadelphia, as in life and in golf, the most important shot you take is the next one.
They're not just familiar faces. They're your friends and neighbors. It's their small businesses, a beating heart that makes a neighborhood a home. The places with a pick-me-up, or a story that inspires, where you can share a taste of comfort with a personal touch that makes our world shine a little brighter. Support small and make a big difference. Make it local. Make it Main Street. Make it Montco.
Welcome back to Inside Golf. We are at Overbrook Golf Club in Villanova with assistant professional Ashley Grier. Ashley, thanks for taking time out from what is a very busy schedule for you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate being here on the patio overlooking beautiful Overbrook. All right, let's begin at the beginning, Ashley. Golf has been a part of your life practically forever. Tell us about it.
Yeah, my dad was a golf pro, PGA pro. When I was 6, him and my mom bought a golf center, literally in my front yard. If this is my house, this was the golf center. So we had a driving range, a miniature golf, and an 18-hole par 3 course. So it's just kind of what we did for fun as kids.
And home was in Hagerstown, Maryland.
Yes.
Your parents are still down there?
Still there. They've had it for...
Your dad's still active?
Still there, still playing, still running the golf center. 30 years now, 31 years.
So aside from the location, I mean, what else attracted you to golf? Did your dad put a golf club in your hands, like you say, when you were 6 years old?
I think so. I don't remember how we got started, but that was our playground. That was what we did for fun. So I either was playing putt-putt or I was hitting balls or playing par 3, but I grew up pretty much from the time I was 5 or 6 years old with the club in my hand. And
when did you get to play 18 holes for the first time and realize you were good at it?
I don't remember exactly, but I remember we always had a junior golf program for the kids, and I couldn't wait to get started because I saw the trophies, and I remember I wanted to win one of the trophies. So I was probably 7 or 8 when that started.
Okay, and then pick it up a little bit, high school, Smithburg High School in Hagerstown or near Hagerstown, and you played on an all-boys golf team. Tell us about that experience.
I did. Yeah, there weren't a whole lot of girls in the area besides my sisters and I that played, and so the gym teacher actually played golf and knew I played, and we started a golf team my sophomore year. So it was me and the guys, and actually kind of helped me, learn how to be competitive from an early age, for sure. And
some of these guys you had known
Some
when
of
you
them
were
I
little?
knew. Yep,
Yeah.
they were around. They used to come out to my dad's place and practice, so I kind of knew them from the area.
Do you still see them? Do you play a little with any of those
A couple of them
guys?
I still do, yeah, we keep in touch.
So from high school in Maryland to college in Florida, first at Jacksonville and then at UCF. Tell us about those experiences.
Yeah, I got a scholarship to start at Jacksonville University, played 2 years there, transferred to UCF, a little bigger college, bigger school, bigger competition, finished out there, and then from there I went on to turn pro.
Okay, and you tried to get on tour. Today it's called the Symetra Tour. Back in those days it was
The Futures Tour
the
back then.
Futures Tour. How many years did you spend on the Futures Tour?
Played about 5 seasons on the Futures Tour.
Did you come close?
I was kind of middle of the pack. You know, I wasn't bad, but I never was there. You know, they gave 10 exemptions each year to the LPGA and just never quite got close enough to make it full time.
Okay, any regrets about that, or when you look back on it, say, gee, I should have done this, I should have done that to get there, or?
You know, I actually love where I am now. I still get to compete a lot. It was an awesome experience. Love that I did it, but I can't say I have any regrets now.
Okay, so then eventually you wound up, what, 5 or 6 years ago here at Overbrook Golf Club. You've been an assistant pro here. You brought a lot of honors to the club by your performance in the section and on the national stage as well. Tell us about, first of all, Eric Kennedy played a part in hiring you, I'd assume. He's the head pro here at Overbrook, but you knew Eric back in Maryland.
I did. Eric actually grew up in my area. He worked for my dad when I was probably 8, 9, 10 years old. So he took lessons from my dad, worked at the golf center, and I hadn't seen him in probably 20 years, and I ran into him at an event at my old club, and we were chatting, and then I caught him up the next year, and it just worked out that here I am.
You won the Philadelphia Assistants Open Championship. That was at Kimberton last November.
Correct.
To finish up an awful year in terms of COVID and everything. How did you manage to get through that, do your job, compete, and everything else? What were some of the highlights and lowlights?
You know, it was kind of a weird year. I actually was furloughed until June 20th, so I spent the first couple months of the season down in Maryland at my parents' place, helped them out at their golf center, practiced a ton out there, played at my old golf course out there, and then had to transition back into working. And just with all the changes and adjustments, you know, it was a weird year for sure. But thankful to the Philadelphia section to have all the events that we still had to play in that last year.
Do you play in most of the sectional events, like on a week-to-week basis or whenever they fall?
I try to play in as many as possible. I'm lucky here that Eric and the club allow me to go compete and represent the club, but I do try to play in as many as I can.
Right, and how many women assistant pros, head pros are there in this section?
There's probably less than a dozen. Not
Are you
too
one of the
many
more
play.
veteran ones now after 5 or 6 years here at Overbrook?
Probably. There's some more that have been around for a while. I'd say I'm one of the few that play in the tournaments.
Right, right. What's been, you know, the reception, you know, for you? Not that you grew up in this area, but not that far away, but still being a woman with the guys. Have you even seen a change in your short time as a member of the Philadelphia section?
You know, it's always a little bit out of place when you're one of the few females with a group of men. And I must say the guys here have been awesome. Right away, they've been very respectful, very supportive of my game. I feel like I've made a lot of friends being, you know, out there competing with them all the time. And it's even the club here, the members here are very, you know, supportive of me. So once I got over kind of being the only girl out there, I feel like I'm just one of them, and I feel like I fit right in with them, and they're very respectful and supportive for sure.
Right. I know you've qualified too in the past for the National Club Pro Championship. How many times has that happened?
This will be my 3rd time competing in that as well.
Okay, that's always a special event, right?
It's probably the Club Professionals Major Championship.
Right.
They treat it like a tour event. It's awesome.
Right. We were, I think, was a Concord where you qualified
Yes.
in a major playoff.
Yes.
Like, I think there were 10 golfers competing
There
for
were.
so many spots, and you were able to get into that.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have played at really the highest level from a competition standpoint, both locally and nationally. Has your game changed that much over the course of the last 5 years, you personally?
I think I've honestly gotten better every year. I've kind of learned more. You know, I don't play for a living anymore, but, you know, I teach a lot, I learn a lot, and just kind of I like to see how good I can still get. But I honestly think I've gotten better as the years have gone on.
Ashley just mentioned teaching a lot. We'll find out about Ashley, the teacher, and how she kind of shares what she knows about the game of golf, swinging at that ball, and trying to make not only herself, but a lot of other people better when we come back. Ashley Grier is our guest. We're at Overbrook here on Inside Golf.
full range of BMW X vehicles available no matter what adventure lies around the corner. There's an X for that. The best-selling BMW X3 leased the 2021 X3 for $449 per month.
For over 2 decades, First Tee has created experiences that build character. We believe every kid deserves to feel supported, safe to try something new, and to be prepared for what comes next. We develop their swing, but more importantly, their inner strength. Because we know what's inside doesn't just count, it changes the game. Come join us at First Tee.
Welcome back to Inside Golf here at Overbrook Golf Club in Villanova, talking to our guest today, Ashley Grier, assistant pro here at Overbrook. Before we get into, as I teased in the last segment, you as an instructor and what that's all about, I have to mention that, Ashley, you won a huge honor. Maybe, I don't know where it stands in terms of all the things that you won, but you were named the 2020 Women's Pro of the Year, not just for the section, but for the entire country. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Second of all, wow, how'd you feel about that?
It was pretty cool to find out that I won the award. You know, I had a really good year last year, worked hard at my game, as well as juggling COVID and work and everything. So to find out, you know, all your hard work pays off, and I won this big national award, it was pretty special.
And it's only the second time they've had the award, so it's a relatively new award.
Correct.
And you're the second winner.
Yes, it's just started in 2019 was the first time they had a women's PGA National Player of the Year.
Okay, congratulations again
Thank you.
for that. All right, back to the item I teased right before we took our break from segment one. You got into instructions, giving lessons, things like that. How often, first of all, are you called upon to do that here with the members at Overbrook?
I would say every day I have probably a lesson or two. I'm not a full-time teacher. I'm an assistant. I'm a golf pro, so I still have responsibilities to run tournaments, work in the shop, merchandise, but I probably give at least a lesson or two a day.
Okay, and is it men, women too, across the board?
It's everybody. I probably teach more women. I think they feel more comfortable taking lessons from other women, but I'll teach anybody.
All right. What's the most satisfying part of being an instructor?
I think whenever you see the results, and I love the game of golf, and to share that passion with somebody else, and to hear them come back to me and telling me about a great round or a great shot, it's just very fulfilling to see their excitement as well.
Right. Is it tougher, though, for some people with their frustrations? How do you deal with the mental side of golf to try to get them to focus on maybe not what's going bad, but a little bit that's going good, and hopefully that increases every time out?
Yeah, golf is hard. That's our favorite tagline here at work. But I spent a lot of time on my own mental game, and I just try to get them to take away some sort of positive. We all have good days and bad days on the golf course. So if you can see, sometimes it's very small, but if you can see some kind of improvement, then you know it's in there, and you know there's a chance, for you to get better.
Right. You mentioned to me, I asked you before we started the interview, who do you go to for advice? And you don't have to go very far, do you?
I don't. My whole life it was always my dad, but now that I'm up here working, Eric Kennedy, I think knows my game more than anybody. He's one of the best teachers I've ever, dealt with. I love watching him teach, but he can fix me in about 5 minutes or even over the phone sometimes.
Really? So if something's gone bad, you go out and say, gee, I got to call Eric. And a 2-minute, 3-minute phone call, and Eric Kennedy has you back on track?
He's pretty good. He knows me well, and I've definitely called him from tournaments saying, hey, I need something. I got to get out there tomorrow and, get it back. And he almost always gets me right back on track.
Now, the president of GAP, the new president of GAP, is Oscar Mestre, and he's a member here at Overbrook. How many lessons have you given to Oscar to fine-tune his game?
None yet. Oscar's pretty good. I don't think he needs too many lessons. He's a pretty darn good player.
Ashley, right now the big emphasis seems to be, and it changes year to year, maybe less than year to year, but right now in the game of golf, everybody's talking about distance.
Yeah.
And we've seen on the men's tour, of course, Bryson DeChambeau is apparently the poster boy for that, and what he does, and it's just not a swing change, it's a whole lifestyle change. And most, 95% of golfers, even pro golfers, probably aren't going to have the commitment to do what Bryson did in a short period of time. How do you deal with that? Do you have people coming up to you when you give a lesson or maybe in the pro shop, just say, I want to get 15 more yards, how do I do it?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever given a lesson where someone wants to hit it shorter. They're always trying to pick up more distance for sure. You know, sometimes it's you can get it off the course. Sometimes it could be a flexibility or a strength issue off the course. A lot of times it can be mechanics in your golf swing. I think for myself personally, I've picked up some distance this year, both getting my mechanics better and then getting a little bit more physically fit as well.
Right. You know, what is the best part of your game? If you could share
I would
that
say
with us. And
probably-
has it changed, you know, in the last 5 years and the last 5 months?
I would say I've picked up a little more distance myself, probably 10 or 15 yards in the last year or two, so that has helped. And then my short game has gotten, I think, better over the years.
Do you have somebody you can go to talk about the mental part of it? Because, you know, sports psychology has become a big part of every sport. I mean, you know, professional baseball teams, football teams, they have a staff of sports psychologists. I don't know about pro golfers. They probably have maybe a phone call to make to somebody. They can say, hey, help me out here. Mentally, I'm going crazy.
Yeah, I don't work with anyone in particular. I've read a lot of the golf books over the years. Again, I talk to Eric a lot and my dad a lot. Just we've all been in the situation and we all have the same, you know, fears and nerves and feelings out there. So just talking it out with somebody else who's been there helps, you know, more than anything.
You mentioned earlier in the show about how competitive you were, not just in golf, but anything that you did. Do you set goals for yourself, like in January of this year? Did you look at the calendar and say, okay, here's where I want to be, or here's what I want to win, things like that?
Yeah, I think there's always some mini goals I set for myself. In January, my first goal was to play well at the women's stroke play in February so I can qualify for the KPMG championship. And then after
So
that was checked.
Check that box.
My next goal is coming up next week is to perform well at the National Club Pro, hopefully play all 4 rounds there and finish highly there.
And if you do you get an exemption to next year?
I
Do they
don't.
have that?
The men play in the top 20, make it to the PGA Championship. For the women to make that, we'd have to play the back tees from the qualifier and in the tournament, which we won't do, which is too long. But just having a good high finish and performing well is satisfaction enough.
Well, we hope you reach all your goals and keep it taking the game of golf forward for you personally and for a lot of other people here that I'm sure are happy to have you on staff here at Overbrook Golf Club. Thanks for taking time out.
Thank you.
And stay with us. More to come. Teed off. The panel's all set to go next on Inside Golf.
The USGA has
Welcome back. Inside Golf now continues with our teed off panel. We are assembled at Lulu Country Club in Upper Dublin. And if you want to find out more, go to the website, lulucc.com. Joining us today is George Forster. For many years now, he's been a pro in the Philadelphia section of the PGA. Good to see you again, George.
Thank you for having me, Harry.
Matt Fry with the local section of the PGA. He is the Director of Communications. Good to have you on board again, Matt.
Happy to be here.
And from myphillygolf.com, Joe Logan. Joe, the game of golf, like most sports, continues to evolve. I guess more recently, most of the attention's been on equipment and the balls that the guys are using, and not only tour guys, but guys like you and I. And, you know, everything's changing, it seems, for the better for the most part. But how else has the game grown, do you think? And this equipment boom, is there like an end point? Is there a ceiling, or is it just going to continue?
there is a ceiling, and the USGA has limits to how much a club can bend, and they have limits for everything. But to answer your question, I think golf is better in every single way than it was 50 years ago. The equipment you can't even compare. The balls, the clubs, the swing. You look up and down a range now, and all of the swings are better than they were 50 years ago. One thing we don't talk about much that is incredibly improved is growing grass. Golf course superintendents, I mean, look at these old replays of the Masters from 1972, and it's brown. I mean, golf courses now are just much better, and I don't see anything about golf that is not better, except one thing. I don't have any more fun now than I had 50 years ago.
Why is that? Is that you, or is that who you're playing with?
I think it's just, I don't know. I enjoyed it when I was 15 years old, and I enjoy it now. And it's a great game. Good to be outside.
You're not taking it too seriously, are you?
No.
Okay, I'm glad. As a professional, he talked about the vast improvement in equipment, but also, in golf courses, the way they look, the way they play. I mean, that's a good point. You look at some of the old videos, for a 10-foot putt, they'd have to take the club back to here and hit it, and it would still be up short. Is that one of the biggest, maybe least talked about improvements in the game, George?
I think so. Lee Trevino always used to say when it came to distance gains, the biggest change was the lawnmower. Cutting the fairways as tight as they do and the ball rolling forever. I mean, that definitely plays into the distance. But I think today too, especially at the elite level, the strength training that all these players have done. I mean, they're all athletes now, without a doubt. And they work out and they're in great shape. And the average golfer may not do that, but the equipment has helped both the professionals and the amateurs. And I think the biggest difference is we might not be seeing big distance gains in equipment because of the USGA limits, but across the face and miss hits and controlling the spin and controlling the forgiveness and the trajectory on miss hits is going to be where we're going to see the improvement in equipment, I think.
Yeah, you talked about conditioning, but also diet. A lot of these tour pros especially have their own dietitians who are counseling them on what they eat for every meal of every day. Matt, that's another thing that I don't think Hogan and Palmer in their prime were worried about, where their next meal was going to come from and what was going to be in it.
You're right, and I don't think that is unique to golf. I think particularly in this country the past few years you see more fitness-minded or healthy-minded folks in the country, which kind of speaks to the increase in participation we've seen across different groups of people. We have more young people playing now in the past 10 years, more non-Caucasian golfers. It's up 6%, and their rounds played is up 30%. And I think that kind of shows you that it's being a little bit more attractive to other groups of people rather than our traditional base.
And we did a teed off prior to today on affordability. Is it going to continue to be affordable or more affordable than it has been in the past, do you think, because of some of the things you just touched on?
I obviously can't speak to different facilities and how they do business, but based on my own personal experience, I haven't seen golf fees raise a lot in the past 10 years. They've been pretty steady. If anything, they've raised with the price of inflation.
Right. How about on that topic, affordability? I know you mentioned it on one of our previous teed offs.
Right.
We can't afford to price our way out of business.
Exactly. I think it's so important that we do our best to keep the prices under control, to keep golfers in the game. And I just hope, I have seen some cases where it's a supply and demand thing and prices are going up. I just hope we don't go down that road.
Joe, where do you think, like we found out because of the pandemic, a lot of people never played the game before. What were they doing, do you think, to entertain themselves that all of a sudden they found golf?
They were doing all kind of hiking. I don't know. These are people who have been drawn to the game for reasons that I don't fully understand, except maybe they met somebody who plays golf. They're welcome. I don't know where they're coming from. But
keep coming.
Yeah, keep coming.
And be happy. You got to give some advice to this fellow when he touched on how you don't enjoy the game maybe as much as you did. I don't enjoy it more. I still enjoy it. Okay. Do you have any advice for him here in our last 30 seconds to try to get him into a better frame of mind?
Move up a tee.
You're right. I've done that already.
Move up another one.
I'm going to be halfway up the fairway.
That may be the most sage advice we've had on Teed Off in a long time, right? George, thank you very much for that little tidbit. We'll be back. More to come on Inside Golf in just a moment. Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of Inside Golf. Ashley, thanks for taking time out. As I say, very busy schedule. It's only going to get busier, but I have a feeling that down the road, whether it's here or someplace else, we're going to be seeing you in action in 2021, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
I'm Harry Donahue with Ashley Grier. Thanks for joining us, and remember, no matter how bad it's going for you out there, don't pick up. We'll see you next week on Inside Golf. The 24th season of Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf. 50 courses, over 300,000 yards. Check them out at montcogolf.com. By the First Tee, Greater Philadelphia. Building game changers. The First Tee not only helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit firstteephiladelphia.org. By Gap, celebrating amateur golf since 1897. By Jersey Man and Philly Man Magazine, a digital publication and private business network. Read the current issue, free, at jerseymanmagazine.com. And by Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia PGA section, the experts in the game and business of golf, and celebrating their centennial year. Take time to thank your local men and women PGA professionals.